Xanadu is a company that's focused very much on the discovery and definition of porphyry copper gold deposits in Mongolia. We see Mongolia as very prospective for that type of deposit and other styles of gold and copper mineralisation. The company has two major assets, the Kharmagtai project in the South Gobi, which has progressed to the point of entering into pre-feasibility. And we have a Red Mountain project also in the South Gobi, which is an earlier stage exploration project, also looking for copper and gold deposits. Yes, so we have two major projects, Kharmagtai, which is approaching pre-feasibility, Red Mountain, which is an exploration project, and we have a project generation team on the ground looking for more projects in Mongolia. The flagship project, Kharmagtai, has a mineral resource estimate released in 2021 containing 3 million tonnes of copper and 8 million ounces of gold. It is a scoping study was completed on that. That is an example of what we could do with that resource, and that suggests an open pit mine life in the order of 30 years, producing somewhere up to 50,000 tonnes of copper per annum and 100,000 ounces of gold. So this thing works on scale, it works on byproducts, and it works on a very low strip ratio. It's characterised by very low ESG risk and good infrastructure. So we see this as a project that could become into production much quicker than its peer deposits. We are a small company that has a large project, which is always a conundrum for companies like Kharmagtai. And we have recently announced a deal with Zijin Copper, which we're currently going through now, and I'll take you through that deal. But that essentially sees us funded through to the decision to mine. The photo there on the right shows you the exploration camp. As you can see, it's in a very sparsely populated flat part of the world, which has many advantages when it comes to engineering this scale of project. Being in Mongolia, the weather can be extreme, particularly in winter. However, despite its remoteness, there is a railway line within 15 kilometres of this project. There are roads, rail, power and water nearby, and these are all major benefits for the project. With Zijin funding, we plan to commence a pre-feasibility study as soon as possible, probably in January. We expect that to take 12 to 18 months to be done properly, which will support a decision to construct sometime in the middle of 2024. By definition, a PFS should generate a single go-forward case and a maiden ore reserve. So we see this thing as moving very demonstrably towards that decision to mine. We have ruled the books and done this study on the deposit with significant upside still remaining. This project is very similar in nature to Oyu Tolgoi. It remains open along strike and at depth, and we do plan to continue to explore for higher grade extensions and potential underground opportunities at Kharmagtai. I suppose I don't really need to talk about, the supply and demand and the business case for copper. It's clear and well understood that the world global demand for copper, while soft at the moment, is fundamentally strong in the mid to long term as the economies decarbonise. Copper is always very important when it comes to growth, but a decarbonised growth only strengthens that story. The new discoveries have been insufficient to feed that future demand, and so we see mines such as Kharmagtai to be very much the type of deposit that will get built to fund the demand going forward. Importantly, we're located close to the Chinese border, just less than 100 kilometres to our south. So we see our copper product, which is a high quality copper concentrate with good gold credits and few impurities, going to the market in China. In terms of the deposit itself, I'm a geologist by training, so apologies for speaking geologically for a minute. The picture on the right is a long section that shows you the rough general arrangement of the ore body, with the purple parts being the higher grade parts. It shows you that we are at surface. It's amenable to open pit mining. It remains open at depth and open along strike. We are seeking the very high grade bornite zones, which not only give you a very good copper to gold ratio, but give you very strong copper grades. So last year, between 2018 and 2021, we drilled 60,000 metres of drilling. We not only grew the resource, which is characterised in the yellow bars on the left, to where we are today with the blue bars, but we grew it in quantity and quality. And the project the resource is now at least 41% indicated, 22%, and the rest inferred. So there's not a lot of drilling required in feasibility to take this thing up to indicated and better. And we think the entire pre-feasibility study will cost approximately $20 million to complete. Just when you benchmark this project against undeveloped copper deposits globally held by juniors, you can see that not only do we significant in terms of size, when it comes to enterprise value per ounce, not based on our current market cap, we are deeply discounted relative to our peers. And I think that is the attraction that Zijin see in us, in that it's an opportunity to get into a significant deposit in what's becoming a much more investable jurisdiction, right on the doorstep of China at a very competitive price. And I think the Chinese, Zijin also see potential to bring this project into production much quicker than some of these things, particularly in South America, where the ESG barriers are becoming real and prohibitive. We have a very well understood pathway to production. The timeline on the left is based on engineering studies that have been done by a local firm that's built and been involved in 4 other prior mining developments. So it's a well-trodden pathway towards permitting and approvals. We've also built in the impacts of the winter into that schedule. Notwithstanding all that, we see ourselves as being able to go into production towards the end of 2027. And as I said, you'd be struggling to find a project of this size that can go into production that quickly elsewhere in the world. The scoping study financials are there on the right. It is characterised by scale and byproduct credits. Effectively, once you achieve payback, which in this study is 4 years, you are cash flow positive for 30 years and producing very strong cash flows over a very long period of time. So, my experiences with the Cadia Valley operations in Newcrest in New South Wales, we started with an open pit that was due to run for 15 years. We then built on an underground, which also went for 15 years. And 30 years later, that mine still has another 30 years to run. So these things can grow over time organically. The study is based on low technical risk. It's open pit mining, truck and shovel, conventional flotation with gravity up front, very low technical risk. There are, however, significant upside opportunities, which I'll talk to in a minute. Mongolia is an interesting country. It's a young democracy. They've had their ups and downs. A well discussed problem with Rio Tinto, which is now being solved. They are clearly making steps towards becoming attracting foreign direct investment, and have recently made some major announcements aligning the Mongolian growth strategy with China's Belt and Road strategy. It is a stable place. It's a mining economy, and there are very good access to skills and labour, and as is demonstrated there, a very strong connection back into China. In terms of infrastructure, railways going in, that picture at the bottom of the train, that's running past our project 15 kilometres away. So the logistics of moving the product out of the mine site down south into the markets in China are real. The government's investing heavily in infrastructure in the South Gobi. Currently power comes north from China into the South Gobi. There is talk of building a significant coal-fired plant at Tabat Tolgoi, which is one of the larger coal resources in the world. So, normally, a third of your capital involves buildings, infrastructure. We have that advantage here in that the infrastructure is already well established. As I said earlier, Mongolia is really trying to reform its policies to attract foreign direct investment, particularly in mining. We are expecting the mining law to be updated with the new government, if not this year, next year, and we are participating and helping the task force with that initiative. In terms of upside, there is oxidised material in the top 20 to 30 metres sitting on top of these open pits, which is currently considered and costed as waste in our study. We believe that we can extract the copper and gold out of that oxidised material through a leaching process that would turn what is currently a liability into an asset and add significant project value, and we'll be studying that during in the next 12 months. We also haven't built in the types of technologies that the big copper miners are using these days in terms of bulk ore sorting and coarse particle flotation that have been used around the world. They help you reduce the intensity of power and water per tonne of unit metal, so they lower your carbon footprint and your costs per tonne of metal produced. We also haven't built in pit crush and convey type concepts, which are also commonplace around the world. We're currently trucking right from the bottom of a 600 metre deep pit to the surface, which requires lots of trucks and lots of diesel and lots of people. The current technology for that type of opportunity is to truck up to a crusher and then put the rock on conveyors. So we'll also look at that. The project is predicated on electrified equipment to reduce emissions and haulage costs. As I said earlier, we have a significant exploration upside, and we'll continue to explore deeper. The best ore body at Oyu Tolgoi is actually at depth, and we haven't drilled to those depths yet. All of our indicators are that, and our vectors are that telling us to drill deeper. So we will continue to do that, and then hopefully we'll be able to identify a significant underground future for Kharmagtai. I'll skip over this one quickly as just examples of where other companies are using those technologies I mentioned. First Quantum in Africa are using bulk ore sorting. Newcrest Coda, where I was the chief geologist for many years, is using coarse particle flotation, and Anglo American are using those type of technologies as well. So we're not talking about new, innovative, risky technologies. We're talking about established technologies that can be applied to this deposit. This is just an example of where we are relative to Oyu Tolgoi, which is Rio's big mine down the road. Hugo North is their big underground deposit. That starts below 900 metres. We are yet to drill that deep, and all of our vectors are pointing us to drill deeper. So we are we're not confident, but we're very bullish on the fact that there could be a large underground deposit sitting there yet to be found at Kharmagtai. Our second project, Red Mountain, is also a porphyry setting. We think it's a slightly different setting and incredibly prospective for copper gold skarn and epithermal deposits near surface. There's multiple targets there. We've just been trenching on target 33 and producing those rocks with bornite and very good geochem results. We hope to be drilling them in the near future. Just in terms of Zijin have come in at 10% placement in the company at 4 cents a share. Stage 2 of that is they'll make another placement, taking them up to 19.9% of Xanadu at the Listco level, and injecting $35 million US dollars into Wheaton Metals, which is the holding company for the asset. So all up about $11 million into the topco and $35 million into Kharmagtai to progress that feasibility. That's not a change of control deal. A change of control deal would be another conversation. Clearly, Zijin are going to want to own and operate this project, and we see really good synergies between us and them. We're explorers, they're developers and operators, and we would like to eventually hand this project to them and go and find the next one for Mongolia. So in terms of the investment, we are a small company sitting on a major resource. We're fast tracking it to development with the assistance of Zijin, and we see Mongolia as maturing very quickly into a good investment destination. Our people in Australia are all proven explorers, myself and Andy Stewart. We have excellent leadership on the ground in Mongolia, and we're able to keep operating through COVID without any problems at all. And we see ourselves as having a relative advantage from an ESG point of view in that sparsely populated, flat, stable ground. We're not trying to build tailings dams hanging off the sides of mountains or anything like that. So it's a very low ESG risk, low technical risk opportunity to become a significant copper and gold producer in the near term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. So a few questions here. The first one that we collected, we hear many different things about Mongolian mining regulations changes all the years in the past. So why do you think you can succeed this in working there now?
Well, we've been working there for over 10 years without any problem at all. I think that the key problem or the key perception around Mongolia has been, overshadowed by the whole Rio Tinto Oyu Tolgoi issue, where the governments sought to have a percentage of that project, and the deal that was done by Rio was arguably insustainable. That has now been resolved itself, and the government is clearly understands the negative perceptions that created. They have said publicly and are working very hard towards coming up with a more transparent and competitive mining code that will make royalties and taxes and the fiscal regime very clear. So I think it's been a case of growing pains for Mongolia, and that they are maturing very quickly. And our owner and founder and co-director Gambaya Lengbeng, based in UB, is very well connected into both sides of government, and is part of the working group that's working with the government to come up with the new mining code very soon. It's important to say with this asset, it's not considered a strategic asset under the current regulations. Therefore, the government have no right to an equity component of the project, and so we won't have that complication that was there with Rio Tinto. We have seen some successes in terms of Step Gold, Erdene, and some other companies developing projects in Mongolia. So I think our timing is really good. The political risk or perceptions of risk are attenuating. The need for copper is there. The opportunity exists to make this the next great copper mine in Mongolia.
You and the second question, you joined Xanadu in recent years. So what really interests you about Xanadu, and what skill sets are you bringing to help the company?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've spent 30 years with Newcrest, including 10 years as their executive responsible for global exploration and development. So there's not many porphyry deposits around the world I haven't seen. I also spent 3 years as the inaugural CEO of Indonesian-listed Merdeka Copper Gold, which has become a very large company now in its own right. and I built the Tushi Bukit deposit. What I saw when I went up there, was I was looking for high grade within the deposit, and what I saw was rocks that were very similar in nature to the rocks that I was very familiar with at Cadia Valley operations in New South Wales. So I saw the potential to use those economies of scale and byproduct credits to create a long life, low cost operation. And to be frank, I've spent a lot of time in New Guinea and Papua New Guinea and Indonesia, and places where it's actually quite difficult to engineer, particularly your waste and your tailings, to the standard that is required and the standard that I'm willing to accept. And there's that low ESG risk that really think is the icing on the cake for this. So it's a potential. It is what it is right now, but it has really fundamental potential to grow into something much bigger and much more valuable.
Thank you, Colin. So we are running out of time, and as we conclude today's program, but thank you for your time here being with us.
Thank you very much for your opportunity to talk to you, and I appreciate it, and all the best. Thank you.